All right. Hello, everybody. It's August 1st here, out of July, out of the first half of the year. All right. So last couple of calls have been really good. I want to thank everybody for your participation in that. The questions are great. The questions are like, when you ask a question, it's what someone else needs to know too. So I always encourage that. Anyway, like always, you guys are free to go ahead and unmute if you've got a question, you want to come out, or you can put it in the chat. Either way works. But hey, Doris, how's it going? All right. So one thing I wanted to cover today, we kind of talked a lot about the first two sections of ACT in the last couple calls. And we haven't really addressed traffic too much. So I wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit today. And like I said, if you guys have questions, feel free to hop out here. But anyway, in the meanwhile.
Hey, John.
Yeah, go ahead, Anthony.
I saw I happen to be on Todd Spear's list for the Supremacy. I stay on the list because he has webinars. And he often has interesting guests with different SEO things. And I saw that his featured guest yesterday was your SitePop. So I'm going to check out the video, the replay. Did you guys talk about SEO beyond the SitePop? We've heard a lot about SitePop here.
Yeah, no, we really focus mostly on RankBrain and the addressing the issues of how to cure the rank brain. And that's, that SitePop's a perfect match for that. And I talked about Chris and I. Chris is I don't know if you know Chris Ormiston.
No.
He's the one I partnered up with for that, to do the programming. He's got a programming team that's awesome. And he was using the Rainmaker for years on all of his clients. He has a big client list, and he said back then when we brought out Rainmaker, he said that was the only thing that literally moved the needle for him with his SEO customers. And then when Rainmaker started to kind of decline because of all the mobile usage, we got together and said, hey, how about let's have your team redevelop this to the specs that that we want it for now. And they did, and that's where we got SitePop. That's where SitePop came from. So it's kind of like Rainmaker version 2.
Yeah, that's interesting. A couple of weeks ago, I talked to you on email because Todd tried to do that, combine those 7 sites into one.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you again for talking to him. They weren't able to do it. And it's interesting because you told me, you said, it might not be possible anymore in terms of the masking. And a webmaster at a hosting company in Panama that I use, they got interested in it and they tried to figure it out. And they said it's really impossible unless you're using HTML frames, iframes. And you mentioned that to me. So
yeah, and you don't necessarily want to do that. So I'm just looking, let me share my screen here and I'll show you what I did, because I actually did a test for that, when I was trying to come up with a solution for you. And I'll show you what happened with it. So there, you can probably see my screen. That's my website. Now, normally that's Internet Dominators, but look up here, it's johnlimbacher.com. because that's another domain that I own. I never put a website to it. So I just wanted anybody that goes to my website, johnlimbacher.com, just to go here. And before, it just always redirected to internetdominators.com. So in cPanel, I couldn't get it to do the domain mask, and it would just forward to Internet Dominators. And that's something I think has been changed in all hosting platforms, probably something to do with security. I'm not really sure why. But if you go to the domain registry and you put a domain forward with masking, then it will do it. So when you go to John Limbacher now, johnlimbacher.com, it actually shows that in the URL bar and it pulls the site up. Here's the problem. When you go to a sub page, like let's say I want to go to SEO training course, down at the bottom, in the bottom left corner there, you see it's got the internetdominators.com/SEO online training course. You see that, where I roll over and it shows the URL that it's going to go to. Watch what happens when we go there. I'll click it. It doesn't actually show. It still shows johnlimbacher.com no matter what page we go to, which that's not really true domain masking. So I think they might have just wiped it out. What we used to be able to do, it used to show johnlimbacher.com / whatever the page was. That's true domain masking. And I don't see a way to do it now. Both ways I used to know how to do it, neither one of them are doing it. This is the closest thing. And the company that you talk to, when they said it's in a frame, that's probably what this is.
Okay.
So basically there's some kind of a frame shell that they've done on the masking at the domain registry. So all of this is just running inside of some kind of a shell.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is. There's proof of it right there. See, it's in a frame set, and it's just running everything inside that frame set. So that's not good for SEO purposes.
I see. Yeah. So my question is, for traffic purposes, what's the alternative, since this is not possible anymore to combine 7 sites into under one domain? Is there an alternative, or is the only alternative to grind it out and you create 6 or 7 sites on their own, and you have to put up good content, hundreds of reviews, maybe thousands of reviews? Is that the only alternative?
Here's an alternative solution that might work for you. If you have, let's say you've got 7 different domains, like what I could do here, I could make this work with the johnlimbacher.com, because what I could do, I could go into the domain registry, and instead of doing a domain forward with masking, I could do a URL forward. I could forward that johnlimbacher.com to the Internet Dominators About Me page that's all about me. That way, all that traffic would actually be going to that page instead of getting locked inside a frame set. And that's what a lot of the internet marketers do. They'll have like 10 different URLs, and they do their advertising. Like if they go on a radio show or they do an interview or something, they'll say, hey, go to thiswidget.com. And they have one site, because the whole thing, the whole premise behind having one site is to get all the traffic on that site. So RankBrain sees, hey, this site's active. If you've got 7 sites, you're splitting your traffic 7 ways. So RankBrain looks at that and it says, well, between all these 7 sites, nothing's really going on any of them. So the whole idea there is to pipe all the traffic into one domain. So RankBrain sees that, and it says, hey, this site has traffic. People are going here. Something, they got something going on. We probably want to take a closer look.
Okay. Since you, so you're saying you would forward an entire domain, say with 100 pages, to one About Me page?
Whatever.
That's what you're...
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So whatever page is relevant inside the main site, forward the traffic from the other domain to that particular page.
Okay.
And you could, on that page, you could just say, the content from so-and-so domain now lives here. You could just put like even a little pop-up window, just so your users know, hey, they didn't get bait and switched. This is, we just combined the sites.
Okay. Now, for traffic, I heard you say last week or a couple of weeks ago, you said there's 3 problems with SEO: message, market, and traffic. And usually the last one is rare. I think the problem I have with this one product is traffic. you said a couple of weeks ago that traffic you don't think is a big problem because you can just buy traffic. You said you could buy traffic. Now, there's this problem that I can't get over, and I keep coming back to it, which is that, and I've bought traffic, a lot of traffic in the past, is that, I mean, these stories keep coming out. 30 to 40% of the PPC traffic is fake. There was this story 6 months ago. Procter and Gamble, I think, cut $1 billion or something from Google AdWords. They did their own internal investigation, and they came up with 40%, John, of the clicks. They can't account for it, that it's bots.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. Do you believe that? I mean, I'm sure you've heard this. How do you buy traffic?
I don't.
30, have three to 4 to 5 out of every 10 clicks is not.
Yeah, I know a few years back, Google was up against that problem, and they were actually getting sued by a lot of people. And they put some serious safeguards in play to make sure that didn't happen. Now, I'm sure that people do get around it. Like, you can have competitors. And I'm going to tell you something here I don't expect anyone here to do, but this happens. I'm not promoting it. I'm not endorsing it or anything. In fact, I think it's a really shitty thing for somebody to do, but it does happen. You can have a competitor that will go and find micro workers for about 25 cents an action, and you can have them do things, whatever you want them to do. You could have, 5,000 micro workers that went on, ran a keyword search, and clicked on an ad of a competitor just to drive their prices up. I know people that do that. So if that's something that you might be possibly hearing about, yes, that stuff does exist. But I'm pretty sure Google has put some serious safeguards in place to make sure that it's not robot traffic and it's actual real users somewhere, even though it might not be a real valued customer. It is a user on a computer or a device somewhere that's actually clicking it.
Okay, so when people, this whole storyline in the news that keeps going on, I mean, there's a number of examples. You don't buy into it really, and you would tell businesses, go ahead and buy traffic. You're pretty confident that 90% of it's legitimate traffic. You don't believe this idea.
I'm sure there's some, but depending on who you are, if you've got active competitors that are evil, then yeah, I would expect it. Especially in your industry, I might expect it for sure. But what you want to do when you're doing pay-per-click traffic, you want to make sure you're setting your campaigns up to be very specific. And this goes back to the whole thing. When I said there's 3 problems, I always find the problem in one of the 3 buckets. It's either in analysis, which basically that's the market. You have to figure the market out, including the avatar, all that. And then the second bucket is in the creation. That's in the landing page and the offer that you're sending them to, and the follow-up. And then, the last bucket is the traffic bucket. And like I said, usually it's never, I hardly ever find the problem in traffic. Generally, when I look at something, I'm like, okay, well, based on the numbers, the site's not really converting much, so traffic's going to be really expensive no matter how you slice it. But as far as like a traffic campaign, make sure that you always be very specific with the keywords you're targeting. Don't ever target generic keywords. They will break you. Basically, it just drives generic traffic. That's one of the things I talk about in the ACT program is with the pyramid of awareness. The pyramid of awareness represents the market. The base of the pyramid is the people that are least aware. And as it goes up, the higher it goes up, the more educated they become. They also are closer to a buying decision. They also are more aware of their pain. So They're being more specific about their searches. Those are the traffic, that's the traffic that you want, is toward the higher part of the pyramid. Now, if you're doing ads in social media, that's where it's okay to shoot for the base of the pyramid. You can go totally generic there because you're trying to activate their awareness. Because in social media, they're not looking for you. They're over there doing different things. So if that's the kind of traffic you're focused on, you have to take a different approach. But search traffic is very different. Search traffic, I can guarantee you, it's the best traffic on the planet, because it's when people are actually in the mode of looking for something. They want to buy something. They want to solve a problem. They're looking to get an action accomplished. You know, they're actively hunting. So that's where you want to show up. You know, in all other forms of advertising, any kind of social media or bulk email or any of that stuff, you're grabbing them when they're not in the mode of looking. They're doing something else, and you've got to be really good at grabbing their attention and refocusing them. If you can't do that, then that's wasted. That traffic is wasted. And in that case, you know, that could be a problem that spreads across all three buckets. You know, maybe you didn't figure out, you know, what they were really interested in. You didn't make you know, a headline that grabs their attention because you didn't know what they were really interested in, and you're spending way too much on traffic. So there you've got, the problem is extrapolated across all three buckets. But usually, you know, I'll find the core of the problem in one of the first two. It's either they don't have a market or the message isn't right. So, but as far as like traffic, if you're going to do, let's say you're going to do anything other than search, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about today, was how to grab their attention effectively. Like if you're in Facebook, just the regular old image ads, they're not really cutting it that much anymore. The video is what's grabbing people's attention. And it's crazy the way this is working. It's not the traditional video, because most people don't care. It's almost like talking about yourself. Nobody cares. What you've got to do, you've got to get them to look. That's the first thing. If you can't get them to look, then it's all for nothing. So what I see happening now is what I call crazy video. It's like weird shit that has nothing to do with what you're selling. It's just an attention grabber. And, you know, like I've said this many times in the past, if you're going to do advertising outside of search, you better be really good. You know, you've got to be really good at grabbing their attention and refocusing them. So video, what I call crazy video, is where it's at. I'm seeing it more and more, and it's working. It's grabbing the attention. It's punching a message through to them, and then you've got them. You've got their attention. Now you can deliver your message. And I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. I'll share my screen here again. And let's see, over here, there's a site called promo.com, and they're basically, it's a video editing site where they have all these different backgrounds. And one of the coolest things about this is they recently added a section called templates. So if you go into templates, they actually have ad campaign templates that you can use the stock video footage. All you do is you just change the text. So really cool. Like this one, let's do a preview here. So something weird like that will grab somebody's attention. And literally, you just pop your logo in there, you change the text over, the phone number, and you've got a little 15-second video ad. They can format these for LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, all the different platforms, and they're fairly cheap to do. Like you know, if you were to go and have a video like that created, you know, you'd spend hundreds of dollars. Look at this one, you know, the swimming pig. It's so different. You're like, a swimming pig, really? You know, it grabs your attention, and then you put your message in there. But that's the whole point of it. It's just to grab attention, get them to look. There's all kinds of them. Like if you're in the business thing, here's a guy throwing money. What will you do with all the money you make? You know, they're basic, but they're very effective. And they've got hundreds of them. They've got literally thousands of them. So, you know, there's another one. I mean, how much would it cost you to produce a video like that? You know, you'd be in for hundreds of dollars, where here they've already got them all done. They've got music with them. All you do, literally put your logo in there, your text, and you're all set. And it just goes on and on. You can actually search by keyword up here. You know, if you want to, like, travel, and then it'll pull up all the travel stuff. So you know, you can literally just have these videos for any kind of niche you want. Really, really cool stuff. So, and again, that's promo.com. They've got where you can buy just one video, or you can buy a package of videos, or, you know, what have you. So it's a really cool resource. So, you know, that's something you want to think about. If you're going to do ads, you might as well make them effective, especially if you're spending money on Facebook ads. That might cut your ad spend down, or increase your volume of click-throughs dramatically. So, all right. So, any questions you guys have? Anything you're stuck on? I can go a little bit deeper into traffic. Like if you're doing pay-per-click traffic, if you're trying to decide, like, let's say you want to do traffic and you just haven't decided where to go with it yet. You want to look at your audience. You want to look at where are they. If it's females and you're wanting to do search, then I would recommend testing Bing, because they've got a predominantly female audience for that search engine. So, Donald, did you have a question there?
Yeah. What do you think about the whiteboard videos?
I like the whiteboard videos. That's another thing where people are really drawn in when you're drawing stuff. I did one of those for our SitePop product, and basically I did the voiceover, and then I took the script and I dumped it in there, and then had the little hand just writing it out like a cartoon. And a lot of people like that. That video has a very high watch through rate. People watch it all the way to the end. It's almost like when things are moving, it's mesmerizing. You don't want to miss anything. So the whiteboard videos, they've got several different ones that do that. There's also another one that's a cartoon video maker, Toonly, I think it is. And it's almost the same thing, but it brings it to life even more with animated characters and things.
Yeah, I had a really good whiteboard video, but I didn't have it on my YouTube channel, and the guy went out of business or something, and I couldn't locate it again. So I guess I'll probably have to have another one made.
Oh, okay. Well, there's
successful.
Yeah, there's a program. You could probably get it on Fiverr too if you need somebody to do that. There's a ton of people that will make them for you.
Right.
If you want to tinker around yourself, there's a couple of good software products that do it. I can look it up and see what it is. Toonly is the one that does the animated videos, and I believe it's toon.ly, or it might be toonly.com. but one way or another, it's Toonly, Toonly.
Okay.
John, there's what have you heard about Animoto and Animaker? They're two different.
Okay, I have heard of Animoto. In fact, I used it for a very long time. It's a great program. What you do there is you just upload a bunch of images, and it will turn your static images into a video. So that is, you know, that's a good way to go. It's fairly inexpensive. I think you can make unlimited videos with it. They have a couple different price levels. And in fact, I think that you can do it for free too if you don't mind their logo being on the end of your video. If you want it clean, then you have to pay for one of the versions. I think it's about $50 a month. And then you can do a longer video, you can kill their branding and all that kind of stuff. So that's something that you can take a look at there. Doodly, that's the one. Thank you, Mary Sue. That was the one I was trying to think of. Doodly is the one where they'll do the cartoon handwriting. That's the one that I did my my SEO software video with, and it's really easy. Basically, you just write a script in a Word document or something, and you just paste the text in, and it'll just, you know, it'll just do all the frames automatically. And then what I did, it output the video, and it didn't have any sound to it. So I took it in and I just did a voiceover and put my own sound to it. So it's pretty cool. And let's see. Mary Sue says Toonly is sound for Doodly. I thought Toonly was the cartoon part of it, but maybe, yeah, I think in Doodly, I think you can put sound in there too. I think you can upload, you know, if you just want music for a background, you can upload your background music, all that stuff. She says Toonly is music, so that might not be the one I was thinking about then. But there's one where you can do all kinds of animated videos, animated characters and stuff. Like you can have a scene where it's an office and you can have two animated characters walk in and talk to each other, which is really cool. So that's something. Let me take a look here. I think I have an example of that we did. Let's see if I can. Finding it might be another story. There, I think I found it quicker than I thought. Okay, so let me share the screen again. Okay, so this.
You need to hear how an experiment made one of my clients' phones ring off the hook with new customers. Imagine having Google recommend your company as soon as your prospect starts searching. We're talking about your brand name appearing as a choice before they hit enter and before your competition even has a chance. Of course, I'm referring to the search box, which is the most used part of the search engine and has 100% of people's eyeballs glued to it. It's even more effective when your customer is using their mobile device because it takes up half or more of their screen. They can't help but see your brand name as a trusted recommendation. Anyway, back to the story. We had a client that hired us to optimize their website. Now, typically, this can take 6 to 12 months before you start really seeing high placement in the search.
All right, so I won't bore you with the rest of the video, but that you get the idea. That's kind of how that works. It's, you know, it's basically, it's like a cartoon video. The other one, let's see. Let me see if I can find the other one that I was talking about there. Let's see here. If you have been struggling to rank in Google, then let me share the screen again here so you can see what I'm looking at. Okay, so you guys can probably see the screen now. This is the one where it's just writing. Listen up. Ranking in Google just got easier. Backlinks and content used to be the most influential factors to rank in Google. But there's a new twist in So anyway, that's the one where it's just a hand that's writing out just like whatever you're saying. That one's super easy to use. The cartoon one, it's a little more in depth. You've got a lot of moving parts there to create the cartoon video. You've got a lot of different layers. But the one with the handwriting, that one's super simple. I did that one myself. I just uploaded my script and it cut it loose and it did the whole thing. It was really cool. So anyway, let's see. Jem uses Content Samurai for videos. That's another one. I used to use that one too. That was pretty good. Russ says it's Toonly.com. So that's kind of what I thought. But anyway, yeah, Content Samurai is another one. If you're going to make like webinar videos, that one's pretty good because it's got a lot of different backgrounds and things that you can put in. And it's not animated. It's not making like the handwriting that I'm aware of it, unless they've upgraded it or something. But I've used that one to make some pretty cool storyboard videos. So anyway, video, really, you want to consider doing video no matter how you slice it, no matter what program you're using or something. Video is really hot. And even on your website, if you want to put it on your website, it will grab people's attention and hold them longer. Yeah, go ahead, Lewis.
Well, I'd like to ask you about how do you sell SEO to a client that has been working with you for 2 years, but he stopped January this year because the traffic was growing like 400% if we compare the traffic this year to last year. So now tomorrow we have a chat and they say, well, we'd like to do more SEO, but to be honest with you, I don't know what to sell to them, you know, because the traffic is still growing and the business model is the same. The site is on the chat. I mean, and once you have clients like Google, Uber, that kind of things, you have enough credentials. The only thing that changes in these 7 months is like the created new features and they segmented the market a little bit more. It's not just corporate wellness anymore. It's like wellness coaches, friends and family, individuals, that kind of things.
Okay. Yeah, that is something. SEO is kind of a perpetual thing, especially now with RankBrain. It used to be like when SEO was just about content and links, when you stopped doing content and you stopped doing linking, basically you stalled out and you could fall backwards really easily. With RankBrain in the new era here, where RankBrain is a big part of the algorithm, what RankBrain is looking for is it's looking for traffic and user patterns. So SEO really is focused on a different thing. You still can use the link building and the content to get you up for new keywords, and that's really where you want to focus on. Like for a client like that let's say they stopped working with you because they had exploded their traffic and traffic didn't go away because they stopped doing SEO. What that means is they snowballed into having so many users from the natural organic that they had already that Google is still perpetuating it because of the user experience. So it's much less likely if things are going well and you stop an SEO campaign that it falls apart anymore. It used to be that way. Like when I had people that would stop an SEO campaign in the past, their rank would literally tank at some point in the very short future. And they would come crawling back and I'd say, look, but we're rebuilding this just like it was from scratch now. So it was really expensive for them to make that mistake. Where now if they stop and they have a good user experience and what you've got them, you've got them to the point where now they're going to snowball and they're really going to get the huge benefit of SEO on the other end. At that point, for you to make sense to come back and do another campaign to sell them, you basically want to just target another vertical. And what that means is they might be doing well for what they're doing already, but there might be other traffic sources. There might be other keywords, other little micro niches that they could serve that they're not currently getting. So keyword research, that's what I would focus on for that appointment, and just show them the gaps, show them what they're missing, and say, look, we could create a new campaign for you where we focus here, and we can build your traffic even more. We can make you more profit, get you more leads that you're not currently getting. You might also look at the competitors, see what niches they're going after, see what kind of keywords they're targeting and coming up for, and show them, look, a big section of the market here, you're losing it to the competitors because they're focusing on this. You know, we should do this for you. And you can kind of, you know, bring them around that way. If you've got a situation where, and this isn't probably the situation you're in, it sounds like they've already got the ball rolling and RankBrain is working in their favor. This is what happens with big brands. This is why big brands don't necessarily need to spend that much on traditional SEO anymore. They've already got to the point where they're snowballing, and they're really hard to beat because of that. Because they've got all that traffic going in, they've got all that engagement, all of that stuff. So it's all working in their favor already, and they're really hard to beat because of that. You know, like in the real estate, if you search just about any real estate term, you're going to see those massive real estate sites come up. You know, like Zillow, and I think one of them is called Redfish or Redskin or something like that. And those are just going to come up because they're such a big brand. Google's RankBrain has recognized them, and they've figured out, hey, most people that are looking for real estate land here eventually, so let's just shortcut it and take them there right now. That's what it's looking at. That's what it's trying to do. RankBrain is trying to provide a good user experience. So they look at the past. They look at worldwide internet history to try and figure out, if you're starting your search here, where are you ultimately going to wind up? And let's just take you there without the pain. So that's their goal. That's what they're trying to do. That's like if they had an underlying agenda, that's it. It's basically to make it easier for their users. And they're using data to figure it out. So if you don't have that data for them, they don't have a reason to believe you're the one that should be there. That's why it's so hard for the little guy now. If you're up against a big brand in your niche, and people know the brand and they're searching for the brand, and that brand has that traction, it's really, really hard to beat them. You know, you've got to get people to know your brand. That's a tough thing to do, and it's a very expensive thing to do. That's why we created that SitePop program. That's exactly what it does. It will run searches for you, and basically when it doesn't find you in the Google search, it pogo sticks back to Google, which tells Google, hey, I didn't get what I wanted. You didn't give me the right thing. And let me be more specific. So it reruns the same search term with your brand attached to it. The idea is, if it does that enough times from enough users, and, you know, close to you and then out away from you in varying amounts, eventually Google's RankBrain will say, oh, okay, this next person is starting the search for this thing. I'm pretty sure they want this brand. Let me just take them there, and they take them to you. That's the whole purpose behind it. Now, in different niches, it can take longer than others. And this has been, you know, since the beginning, this has kind of been the thing with SEO. It depends on how many other people are doing it. Like if you've got a niche where there's millions of people searching for a phrase, and you're trying to get Google to associate you with that phrase, that might take you a while. You know, especially like with our program, we're only running like 500 searches a month for any given product. So it might take you a while because we're splitting those between 12 different keywords. So we're not pouring like a ton of searches on any one thing. We've done that in some specific cases with some of our commercial clients, where we know we're safe to do it because of the search volumes already in place for the site. You know, I wouldn't recommend doing that without consulting with us, just to make sure you're not going to screw things up. But we have done that effectively for some of our commercial clients, where we put a whole bunch of the same search to the engine to get it to manipulate a lot quicker. But you've got to make sure that everything else is in play to be able to do that safely. That's not something you want to just, fly by the cuff and swing to the wind. So let's see. All right. Donna, did you want to talk about your stuff here, or you want to do that on another call? Oh, you're muted there. There, now you're unmuted.
I've got Lindsay on here with me, and it's a little bit complex, so maybe we should just chat on a separate call.
Okay.
Our site, everything has gone to hell in a handbasket.
No. Well, shoot me an email and we'll get you scheduled then to get you fixed up.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Sure. All right. Okay. Anybody else? I'm just looking kind of through the.
Hey, John.
Yeah, that sounds like Russ.
How you doing, John?
Yeah, there he is. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I know your voice.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I want to pick your brain a little bit more about the Gen M system and finding the right apprentice. Is there a method to your madness on picking the right apprentice? And then what do you start out with as far as questions? Do you ask them, what they're good at, or tell them what you're looking for and have them come back, or what's the best flow to go through that?
Well, that technically would be the smarter approach. I'll tell you what I'm doing, and I'm kind of doing just shotgun approach. And I didn't realize the basic level of the Gen M. I'm not sure how many apprentices you can have and how often you can bring a new one on. But when I first got into it, I brought on the first guy. And I wasn't very picky about who I took in, because my plan was just to drop them into the ACT program. And I wanted them to go through the ACT program and look for errors. Basically, go through all the videos, go through all the documentation, and almost proofread it, learn the system, and then feed me back with feedback of anything that I could do smoother, anything maybe I missed, stuff like that. That was kind of my goal for getting the apprentices in there. That was the work I wanted done. For them, what they would get is they'd get the education of the ACT program and access to be on the calls and all that kind of stuff. So what my plan was, I'll just pour as many of them through as I can. When I signed the first one up, it was really easy. The second one came on, and he wanted to do it too. So when I went to, you sign a contract with them, basically saying, they won't steal your customers and all your information's proprietary and all that kind of stuff. When I went to sign the second contract, it basically says you already have an apprentice in here, and you can upgrade to get unlimited. And I said, okay, I don't need to upgrade. So I went back to the guy and I said, look, I'm still willing to do this. I'm still willing to give you access. I just have to do it outside the Gen M protocol. So I put in about 5 or 6 of them that way. And then I went back on, and just out of habit, when I had the next one, I think this was about 7 in, I went to click the contract button, and it allowed me to add a second one. So I don't know if it's maybe just a time thing. You can maybe put one in every couple weeks or something. But now I've got 2 in legitimately under their contracts. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to try another one here next week and see if I can put a third one through. And it might be a loophole in their system. I'm not really sure. But that's what I'm doing. That's all I really wanted out of them. And then if they're capable of it at that point, I said, I want you to make a big idea for me on selling the ACT program itself. Now that you know what it is, I want you to come up with a big idea for me on an angle to sell it. So that's how I was using them. That's the process that I gave them. And it's pretty automated because they drop into the system and they just go through the whole system. They don't need a lot of my personal attention. So anyway, that was my thing. That might be different. I've offered that up to other people that are in the ACT program. I say, look, if you want me to train them for you, just figure out what you want done in the ACT program, drop them into the training, and you can put them on this call too, and I can answer their questions for you. So literally, I'll train them for you.
Yeah, so I guess my question is maybe a little different. I was thinking that you were originally looking for an apprentice similar to the process that you would use for your outsourcing of the Filipinos, that you would ask them a series of questions and make sure that they were capable of doing the task. Is that a different process?
That's a different process because there I'm actually hiring someone. So the idea with an apprentice is you can actually use the apprentice for 90 days and you can see what they do for you. If it's somebody that you want to offer a job to at the end, then you've already got like kind of a 90-day relationship with them. So you know if they're flaky, you know if they're really good, you know, hey, this is somebody I don't want to get away. I want to offer this guy a position. And it's really, you know, on your part, you don't have much skin in the game other than your membership with Gen M to get access to these guys. But like, you know, if you're hiring someone, it's, you know, if you're anything like me, firing someone is painful. Even if they're not good, it's still, you know, you've got a person there and you're cutting them loose, and there's some icky shit there that nobody likes to deal with. Mm-hmm. So in that case, for me to prevent that icky shit from bubbling to the surface, I go above and beyond figuring out if this is somebody I want to hire before I even hire them. And what I've figured with the Filipinos specifically, because that's where I hire, you know, most of my people is in the Philippines. What I've figured out with them specifically is there's two things. And they both kind of boil down to, are they honest? And, you know, if you can find somebody that's honest and hardworking, that's somebody you want to keep around. Most of them are, you know, I don't want to say most of them. I'll just say there's a good number of them that are not honest. They'll lie and they'll do anything to get the job, and those are the ones you're going to want to get rid of, and you're going to have all that icky shit bubble up to the surface. They're going to beg. They're going to tell you, oh my God, I can't feed my family because you're letting me go, and all this kind of crap. And, you know, nobody needs to deal with that kind of stuff. You know, what you need is you need a job done, and you need it done well, and you need somebody you can depend on. So just make sure you get that going in.
So if you were looking for a position, something similar to a social media manager to run all your social things through, would you go with an apprentice or would you go with a Filipino worker?
I would, for that stuff, I would probably use the apprentices. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, when you hire someone, here's a big difference. There's a big differentiation here. When you hire like a Filipino worker, you're hiring them based on their skill set. You know, you're basically putting a job offer out there for a particular position, and you're hiring them based on experience. Remember the old phrase or the saying that you should not be the smartest person in the room? In that case, you're able to hire people that know more about that particular thing than you do, and you're leveraging that for the benefit of your business. With the apprentices, your job is to train them. They come in without skill sets typically. They're looking to build new skill sets. So they're not coming in like being a master of social media looking to be an apprentice in social media. They might be a master of social media, but they're looking for an apprenticeship in SEO. So what you might be able to do is you might be able to say, look, I will train you on SEO. I'll give you what you need. Here's what I need. I need somebody to, to do work in my social media accounts, and here's what I need to done. Here's what I need done. So, you could attack it that way, but don't think that you're going to hire an apprentice or assign an apprentice that is highly skilled at something looking to apprentice in that. That's typically not the way it works.
Okay.
So like in my case, I'm taking an apprentice that wants to better theirself in marketing, and I'm giving them access to a really good marketing training. And in turn, I'm saying, I want you to use your newfound marketing skills to help me market this program. So I'm really giving them an active play in something I just trained them on. It's almost like a test. I'm giving them a test. And at the end, I can say, hey, this person really got it. They went through, they were highly motivated. They did what they were told, and they shined, and they did really well, and they're really smart. And I can take this person and take it, I can mold them into something really good, a really good asset for my company. So that's kind of the way you go for the apprentices.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Doris, I'm trying to unmute you.
Oh,
There you go. Now I can hear you.
Good morning, John. A very quick question. I sent you on the chat thing asking, I know you're a master of copy. I just want a small sentence that I can post on my picture on my personal page telling people, wow, I've got this new fantastic business page. You can follow me.
Oh, okay.
So what's like a very nice, enticing sentence I could put there? I can't put much writing on my picture.
Yeah.
Something say, did you know we have a business page? And
sure.
For some reason, people connect with me on my personal because of my name. They forget the business name.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Let's see. I have your right on my desktop here. I have your big idea worksheet.
Oh.
And I'm going to be working on that in the next day or so.
Yes.
So what I'll do, once I kind of get my head wrapped around that, I'll have a much better idea of what that little sentence should be for you.
Fantastic. This call is very above my understanding, the SEO and all of this. It was interesting to listen to it. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. And, a lot of times we cover so many different things on this call because I'm here. This call is for anyone at any level. So there's going to be people at all different levels. And sometimes, some of you that are just getting started, you'll say, wow, I don't even know what they're talking about there. That's okay. Basically, if you've got something, sometimes you'll hear something and you'll really tune into it and you'll learn something you didn't know. So just, a lot of times if you're new, you don't really know what to ask.
I'm going to try that promo.com template.
Yeah, those are really cool. But make sure, okay, this is something really important for everybody. When you're creating stuff, because that's in creation mode. Anytime where you're making something, like you're building a video, you're writing a script, you're building a website, you're doing social media posts, and even the sentence for your Facebook, that is all in creation mode. So you want to make sure that you have a good understanding of your analysis so you know who you're targeting and what's important to them.
Okay, I'll wait for you to get back to
Yeah, that's our next piece, is to kind of get our heads wrapped around that. But yeah, so and that's something really good for everyone to focus in and tune in on. That's why the whole ACT program, it's sequential. It's analysis, then creation, then traffic.
Yeah.
And if you get that right, everything works. If you get it out of order, then it's kind of a crapshoot. Yeah. And nobody likes that. You don't want to gamble when you're spending your money on advertising.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Okay.
Sure, absolutely. All right, let's see. Anybody else? Did I miss anything here? Sometimes the chat, I miss stuff in there. So, all right. Anybody else want to hop out before we wrap up?
Right. So picking up on Doris with the about the pro.com place, I'm going to be seeing a videographer. I actually got two in the basket. Actually, there's 3 in the hopper about developing my opening and closing video segment to the body.
Okay.
And the question is that now that we have promo.com, and I don't know if you have the answer to this, but would it be cost effective to just go to promo.com, find something that would resonate to my niche, and use that as my opening and closing tag to my video content, or do I still go out and try to find somebody to create something original?
Well, on the promo stuff, what that is, those are really attention grabbers. Those aren't necessarily made to be like openers and closers for all of your videos. If you're going to do that, what you might want to do is have that like really engineered, because your opener and closer, that's kind of the thing that is going to almost be your brand. People are going to watch your videos and they get branded with that. They see it over and over and over, and that way they associate you with the topic, and it really is powerful. So that's why you want to do it kind of that way. Joe says, Dean, Joe was here with you this last week.
Right.
And he worked with Dean and loved him, and I did too. That was probably the best experience I've ever had with a video guy. He did that promo video for me. It's a 2-minute video, and he really pulled out everything I needed to say in 2 minutes, which was like, I could go on all day. And he cut it down into 2 minutes and made it really, really powerful. And doing the same thing for Joe.
Oh, so in other words, when you mentioned Dean, see here, I just had an aha. Every time when I hear the word Dean from you, the image of you and Dean Cain sitting at Craig Dustwalt's Rockstar desk pops in my mind. The videographer does not pop in my mind when you say the word Dean. Now I got it.
Yeah.
So he could be he could be in the hopper also about creating something, understanding my niche.
Yeah.
So
John,
okay.
Can I chime in here on this?
Please go ahead. I'm out.
Yeah, just so Craig, I was here. I left Monday night, so I called up Dean, and he did another video for me because I realized, I said, I have a landing page, and I did my own video, and he did it in like less than an hour. I can't wait to see it, but the guy is really good. He dragged it out of me, and he condensed it all. So I recommend him highly.
Yeah, if you tell him what you're after, he really knows how to pull it out of you. And he's pretty inexpensive. He does most of the thing in video is the editing. There's a huge job in editing. That can take forever. So what he does is he comes out and he'll spend up to an hour on a video shoot with you. And then he takes all that video back and he edits it down and puts it into a choreographed story in like 2 minutes. So you come out with like a real clean, concise 2-minute video that is just awesome, that represents you. So anyway, if any of you guys, want to know about him or how to connect with him, he's out here, he's in California. We're going to start doing more ACT events here at my place, just like we did this last weekend. Instead of having a big room, I really liked working with a small group, 3 or 4 people at a time. And so I think we're going to start doing some of those, kind of like we used to do the Frank Kern events here, only now there'll be ACT events and much more concise, much more focused on your business specifically. So anyway, I'll send a link out for you guys for Dean if any of you want to work with him. He's also available, like when we do our weekend events here, I can have him on like I did for Joe. Joe wanted to get it done, so he just did it while he was here. and he's from New York. So if any of you are flying in, we just schedule with Dean, and he can handle it for you. Not sure if he does location shoots, like, you know, like I'm not sure if he'd fly out to Florida for you, Donna. I'm not sure, but anything's possible.
So one more thing
out there too.
One more thing, John. The videos that we shot for you, like, you know, when I did the testimonial stuff, when Dean has those done, and you're ready to release, I would like to see it. You know what I mean?
Okay, sure.
I like to see how I look on camera and how I come across, to see how I can start polishing that image also. But that was a nice, good test. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. He will have that over for me probably before too long. So, and as far as dates, if any of you guys have a particular date, especially if you're from out of town or out of state, and you would like me to do something on a certain date, just let me know the date that's good for you. And if it's good for me, I'll put it in and see who else wants to come. And if no one else, then you get me all to yourself. So I've done that in the past, and every time I do it, it's better when I let somebody else choose the date. Whenever I throw a date out, nobody can come. So I decided long ago I'll let other people choose my dates for me. All right, guys, well, have a great week, and we'll be back on. And again, thank you all for coming and putting your content in here and asking your questions. And it's great for all of us. So thank you very much, and we'll talk to you next week.